All right, Gennady Golovkin, Abel Sanchez. Abel finally opens up, right? He kind of gives us a little bit more of inside information of what actually happened between him and Gennady Golovkin. Okay, let me start here. Okay, it is unfortunate. Okay, unfortunate when a fighter gets to the point to where it is I, right? It's I. It's no longer us or we. It's I. It's no longer me. It's no longer us. It's me, right? It's a very self-centered way of thinking, and it's unfortunate when that happens. So, again, like I said, Abel Sanchez opens up in a really good interview from Behind the Gloves. Now, I'll leave a link below. Shout out to Behind the Gloves and Michelle Phelps over there. Did a great job. And there's also another interview from Radio Raheem, which apparently, Abel had a different demeanor. I have not watched that one yet, so, but I will, and I can react to it. But first of all, let me explain something to a lot of you out there that might not quite understand, how inside boxing actually works, okay? You guys know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I've had my press credentials countless times. I can't even remember how many times, okay? I've covered major fights, amateur fights, Golden Gloves, local fights. The list goes on and on and on. I've met or interviewed probably any fighter you can think of, damn near. Canelo multiple times, 7, 8 times, right? Chavez Sr., Chavez Jr., Bernard Hopkins, Barrera, Morales, Marquez, Oscar De La Hoya, probably 7, 8, 9, 10 times, okay? And as recent as a couple of months ago, I was with Jaime Mungaya, Oscar, Eric Gomez, just a ton of different people. I was hanging out with Steve Farhood, for God's sakes. I'm there kicking it with Steve Farhood from Showtime and the people from DAZN. Okay, I spent the entire night with the people of DAZN, and then I went and hung out with Chavez. So my point is, okay, there's just a lot of inside boxing. I think that the typical fan doesn't quite understand, okay? You have people from the bottom all the way to the top, just looking after these guys, okay? And I don't think a lot of you people understand what it takes to actually develop a fighter and, to get them to where they're at, okay? It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like being the manager, of a rock star, of a rock band, you know what I mean? So these people devote their lives to it, okay? And remember, this is boxing. Yes, it's prize fighting, but it's also like the entertainment business. So there's a lot of working parts to make someone successful, okay? And a lot of times, more times than not, those people are never properly compensated or acknowledged, okay? Having a prize fighter, again, it's like having an investment. Sometimes it pays, sometimes it doesn't, but it's the game of boxing. It's how it is. But there's so many people: managers, promoters, admins, accountants, lawyers, advisors, trainers, coaches, mitmen. It goes on. It is a team effort, okay, that is surrounding a fighter to build them up, to get them to a certain level. It is a group team effort, right? 99% of the time, they never make it. They never make it. Some do, some don't. But, Gennady Golovkin made it big. Now, and look, I don't care what any of you say. Without Abel Sanchez, Triple G would not have made it as far as he did. It was a group effort, okay? And it should be a group reward. Group effort, group reward, okay? It's like Gennady Golovkin. It's like, look, Golovkin hit the jackpot, right? And basically got the hell out of town. He hit the jackpot and got the hell up out of town, without sharing the wealth, okay? And I'm not saying everyone is entitled to his money, but I don't know. I just think the way he did Abel was wrong, okay? So, look, let's break down the interview real quick. Okay, Abel said, we all made sacrifices to get Golovkin to where he's at, okay? My family, his family, we all made life-changing sacrifices, okay? They go on to clarify the financial situation, the 10% trainer fee versus the offer that Golovkin made Abel, okay? Abel said it was much less than trainers historically get at that level, meaning you're dealing with millions and millions of dollars, and it was less. So, you people need to understand that. I know a lot of you out there are saying, he doesn't deserve $10 million. but it was much less than a $10 million offer. I've heard it was somewhere between 4 and 5 million. Okay. I mean, and that's working 6 fights. Okay. And basically obligating yourself exclusively to Gennady Golovkin for the next 3 years. Meanwhile, Triple G is making nearly 100 million. Okay. So you really have to like just crunch the numbers on it, right? You know, Golovkin's getting $100 million, right? And he can't, I mean, come on, 4 or 5 million to his trainer? Like, I just don't understand it. Like, there is nothing anyone out there can say to me that would make me understand it, because people like to make the argument, oh, he doesn't deserve 10 million. Well, you're only telling a half truth. You're not telling the whole story. You know, you're not explaining that this is over a 3-year period and you've already spent 10 years with this guy. This is a 13-year investment, okay? And this guy's making 100 million. So there's just such, it's like they leave the other half of it off, okay? Now, the question we asked was, or the question that was asked in this interview, was there any indications or any warning signs of this coming, right? You know, did he know? Abel said, we had a press conference when they announced the DAZN contract. Everything was fine. You know, there wasn't any indication of any wrongdoing or anything being wrong. And no, he said everything was fine. Okay, then she said, have you spoken to him since he, that you guys, split ways, part ways, whatever? He said, no. Gennady Golovkin came to pick up his equipment. They shook hands. Abel said, good luck. And that was it. So Golovkin shows up, picks up his equipment. They shake hands and part ways. I mean, you would think after 10 years of being with someone, there'd be more of, I don't know, like an emotional goodbye or something, but just a kind of a dry handshake. See you later. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're telling your neighbor goodbye. You lived to your neighbor for 9 years. You barely talk to them, shake their hand. Hey, good seeing, good, good being a neighbor, good thing, neighbor, whatever, or good being a neighbor, I don't know. It to me, it just felt dry, right? And I don't understand, is Golovkin, is there more to it that we don't know? Abel said, I feel like, I lost a friend. I lost a son, right? A child. Because, when someone gets into that kind of money, they are surrounded by sharks and advisors, right? So he says, so I can tell you, he says, I can tell you what's probably going on. Golovkin, and basically he's surrounded by a bunch of, grimy people that are illy advising him, right? Trying to basically get into his head, get into his pocket, get into his money, and, saying, oh, you don't need Abel. He's trying to take your money. He wants $10 million. He doesn't deserve $10 million. Things like this. So, and I truly believe that, because I've been around these people at DAZN, and a lot of them are pretty slimy, So now, and something else you need to keep in mind, I believe Abel is more upset about the loyalty, right? The loyalty rather than the money. Okay, I think Abel Sanchez he's a multi-millionaire. I know he is. I know people that are Abel and his partners, they're investing in real estate, different endeavors or whatever, and he's making millions off that. So I don't think it's about money, he's a future Hall of Famer coach. He's got a good stable, and he's got future world champions in his gym right now. I truly think it's about loyalty. I think he's upset because he feels betrayed. There's a big difference in, being greedy and and feeling you were betrayed. You were stabbed in the back. And that's what I really think it is, because it's not about money. The dude's got plenty of money. Maybe the money, look, it's business. I'm sure the money has a little something to do with it. But ultimately, I think he just feels, disrespected. Like, you want to offer me a flat fee? Like, you want to pay, like, you want to get $100 million and you want to give me basically what I was making before? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And you got to think about that. Because, even for Abel, because Gennady Golovkin, signing this big deal, with DAZN, well, Abel, he's going to have to step up his game too. So more is going to be needed from Abel. Meaning, I think he should be compensated more. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. Again, I believe in taking care of the people that help you get to where you're at. Okay, I talked about it in my last video. Especially when you're making that kind of money. I mean, this is not chump change. This is a lot of money. I just don't understand it. I look at the numbers and I think, wow, Golovkin is probably going to make 2 or 3 million on merchandise alone, on the Gennady Golovkin hats, the shirts, the hoodies, on merchandise alone. You know, so he can't, you know, give this dude that helped him get to where he's at, you know, at least that, you know, that little cut, that little piece of the pie. It's like, look, imagine you got this big old apple pie in front of you, and you cut somebody this tiny little piece right here, and you're like, no, I'm not gonna give you that. Yeah, you just have to put it in layman's terms like that. I don't understand it. And I've read all the comments. I've read the best arguments out there, you know, in favor of Gennady Golovkin, and I don't agree. I completely disagree. You know, I think it's greed on Gennady Golovkin's part, you know, and, you know, sure, I'm still a Golovkin fan. You know, this channel is known as one of the biggest Golovkin supporters out there, so I don't want to hear that crap either. You know, people talking, oh, you're hating on Triple G. Well, I've made probably over 300 videos supporting Gennady Golovkin, okay? So I don't want to hear that, because, I mean, it's simply not true. But I think he's in the wrong here, and I wish, you know, and really there's no reconciliation. You know, there's no turning back now. I was going to say I wish they could work it out, renegotiate, you know, whatever, but there's no turning back now. And you know, Oscar De La Hoya brought up a great point, because they asked him, you know, what he thought about the situation. And he said, well, look, you know, it's sad. I feel bad for Abel. But, you know, with Golovkin, he said, I had like 6 different coaches, you know, Oscar De La Hoya. But he's like, here's the thing. You know, it's going to take Gennady Golovkin at least a minimum of 2 or 3 fights to acclimate to a new coach. So he's like, it really doesn't make a lot of sense, you know, because like by the time he's comfortable with the new coach, and even if it is the right coach, then, you know, he's basically he's gonna retire. He's gonna be too old. He's gonna be done, right? You know, so I don't know. I mean, again, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think there's any coach out there that can, you know, change Gennady Golovkin's style up enough to justify, you know, switching coaches, right? I just simply don't. I think Golovkin, you know, he's not a one-dimensional fighter. He's very incredibly gifted and talented and underrated. But I don't think that there's really not much more you can bring out of him. I think, you know, he's shown us the best that he has to offer. You know, maybe they could polish a few things up here and there. Maybe turn him into more of a boxer, possibly. Maybe a little more defensive. You know, and that's about it. That's about it. But that's not going to win rounds. That's not going to win rounds. That's not going to win fights either. You know, especially with these, you know, top 2, 3 middleweights, it's not going to win fights. So I don't understand the point in changing coaches. I don't. You have the acclimation. I mean, it's just like being out of the ring with ring rust, right? Same thing when you get a new coach. You know, you have to acclimate. So none of it makes any sense to me. Again, I think it boils down to money. I think, you know, Golovkin got greedy. That's what I think. You know, and look, I mean, look what happened, right? You know, chase Canelo around, you know, and he continues to chase Canelo. I mean, but for God's sakes, we're getting, you know, what is it, Steve Rolls or whatever? I mean, and here's the thing, too, and I'm going to end it here. You know, if you're Gennady Golovkin and you're fighting someone like a Steve Rolls, getting, you know, upwards of 20 million per fight, right? 20 million per fight or more. You know, you can't throw your trainer, you know, what, $500,000 a fight, $750,000 a fight, and you're getting 20 million a fight? Because, you know, we talk about $100 million, and, you know, Abel isn't entitled to $10 million. Well, look at it per fight. Golovkin getting like 20 million a fight. You know, I'm throwing the number out there. So that means Abel's would be getting, what, $500,000 a fight? Like, how is that unreasonable? You know, again, I think people just like to throw that, you know, oh, $10 million. Like, no, it's not 10 million. You need to break it down per fight. And it wasn't 10 million. There was a counteroffer of, I believe, about half of that, about 4 or 5 million. And take that 4 or 5 million and divide that over 6 fights. And what do you get? Like I said, $500,000. Because look, Abel, he's got to pay for the gym. He's got to pay for, you know, all the things he's got to pay for to keep that boat afloat. You know, just like Gennady Golovkin, Abel has expenses and overhead as well. So he'd probably walk away making like $500,000. You know, okay, but again, I know a lot of you guys don't understand this because you're not. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but you've never seen the other side of boxing, the internal parts of boxing, you know, where you actually can sit there and listen to a trainer and a promoter talk and a manager and a matchmaker and officials and judges. I've been there. I've been there so many times, so I get how it works. And I'm telling you, Golovkin he's wrong. He's wrong for this. And I don't blame him for wanting to make a change. Okay, there's nothing. If it was about change, okay, cool, whatever, man. You can't really fault him for that. But when you make it about money, and make no mistake, it is about money. And a lot of you people are saying, Abel did him wrong in the rematch. Abel was talking shit after the rematch. No, it has nothing to do with that. Maybe a little bit, but not enough to break these two up. Not enough for what's going on here. It is strictly about money and greed and power. And that's what it is. So, I don't know, guys. I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, convince me otherwise, but I think Golovkin is completely in the wrong. I think Abel Sanchez is the victim here, and I think he was done wrong.